Tonggu City was abuzz with shock at the announcement posted in broad daylight. It stated that, due to Zodan's merits, the eldest princess of the... Leaning towards Qin Yu, Zodan began to mock him, recalling how he used to call him a great hero for single-handedly saving Qin Yu. Then he burst out laughing, saying that now he would get married, told him that today he would pay for everything he had done. Qin Yu raised the spear above Cao Dian, and with a death cry, prepared to plunge the spear down. Seeing this, the Kingel began to beg her father to save her husband. As she watched the spear rapidly approach him, Cyan also started begging to be rescued after, which caused a flash to appear. Seeing the enemy approach, Qinju immediately tried to block the blow, after which the guard struck the spear, sending Qinyu flying from the ground, surprised by the force of the attack. Capitalizing on the blow's momentum, the guard grabbed Saudan and placed him in a safer location. Standing tall, the guard acknowledged that Qinyu was talented, but he shouldn't cause a disturbance in the imperial city. Qinyu remembered this guard. He was Beauty's personal guard, who had almost reached the second level of the spiritual realm while raising. Her husband, the king, ordered his guard to kill Qinyu, after which the emperor added that Qinyu had disrespected the law and he had behaved arrogantly, harmed many members of the imperial dynasty, and for this, he must be punished. However, since Qinyu is from the Qin family, poor Booty must break his arms and legs. Hearing this, poor Booty smiled maniacally as he accepted the order and immediately jumped toward Qinyu. While laughing madly, Qinyu was surprised by his speed, after which he received a blow and was sent flying. With no intention of letting the victim act, with her girlfriend standing next to Li Qingge and smiling, she told Qinjin that imperial family blood flowed through her veins and that she was destined to take the blow. Distraught guard continued to struggle with the victim, ordering him to stand up. He invoked the power of the dragon Yasi and repelled the attack of the Rakan. The guard was surprised. What was Qinju up to? He grabbed Booty's hands, jumped up from the ground, and told Booty to stop. Here, he then kicked him with Yasi's power, sending the guard flying. The guard couldn't understand how he could have lost. Qinyu picked up his spear, and he said that his next target would be Liana. Hearing this, the emperor became angry and reminded Qinyu that he was forgetting something while under the protection of the Qin family, which surprised Qinju. The emperor reminded Qinju that he had forgotten just how powerful the imperial family was. Immediately afterwards, Qinju was surrounded by the imperial guards. Seeing the guards, Qinju wondered if this was truly all the power of the imperial family, after which he reminded the emperor that he didn't seem to understand the power he possessed, and in an instant, he bypassed all the guards. Then, he grabbed the emperor by the neck, and the guards immediately panicked at this sight, trying to save the emperor's life. With the emperor in danger, Liana advised Qinju to consider what he was doing, because he was surrounded by guards who were at the second level of the spiritual realm. Smiling, Qinju told the emperor not to worry about him, after which he looked around and thought that everything was just like in his past life. The guards are path to conquering this world. She then added that the Qing family had only received an unimaginable favor because she had been given to Qin Yu at her father's request, dressed in heavy armor, the defensive capabilities of which are incredibly high. But because of this, they become very slow. Qin Yu tightened his grip on the emperor's throat, making him scream softly. The emperor begged for mercy, but Qin Yu wasn't going to let him off the hook. Suddenly, a beam of light flashed across the sky, causing Qin Yu to experience immense pressure. The man who appeared after the flash of light told Qin Yu that he should be able to forgive, hoping that he would let the emperor go. Qin Yu was shocked by the strength he felt, the peak of the spiritual realm. He recalled that, in his past life, this person wasn't so strong. He was a celestial being, dressed in white robes, and with 3 eyes on his forehead. The newcomer decided to introduce himself. He was the head of the immortal clan, Cao Huan. He explained to Qin Yu that the immortal clan and the imperial family shared a common origin, after which he pleaded with Qin Yu to let the emperor live. The emperor, upon seeing his arrival, had Cao Dian kill Qin Yu while addressing him as his uncle. Seeing that the situation was now under his control, the emperor laughed at Qin Yu, confident that he wouldn't be able to kill him today. Standing there stunned, Qin Yu realized he couldn't kill Cao Huan now. Cao Huan then warned Qin Yu that they had taken care of the people until now and were willing to forgive even today's offense, after which he turned his attention to Cao Dian and scolded him for his despicable actions, warning him that upon his return, he would be punished according to the family laws. After reprimanding Cao He then shouted that the Qing family were merely dogs of the imperial dynasty and that only a person with truly outstanding qualities could obtain her. Dian, Cao Huan, told the emperor that the imperial family was at fault and then confessed to Qin Yu, an agreement he only reached after speaking with everyone. Cao said that since the immortal is forcing him to let go, then he is just an outlet, after which he deprived the emperor with a wave of his hand of the one. Huan opened his third eye as he ordered Qinju to release the emperor. Qinju fell into a stupor, unable to move because of the aura of the ancient, heavenly being, and immediately realized that it was the overwhelming power of the 9th level of the spiritual realm. Understanding what was happening, Qin Yu unleashed his power, telling the celestial being that he could not be controlled with suppression alone. Then, he tightened his grip even further on the emperor's neck. Emperor Cao Huan wondered how Qinju could suppress his power when he was only at the 1st level of the spiritual realm. Free from those shackles, Qinju, he could only let out a death cry. Ling Gil was shocked by her father's death, and the people around her were astonished to see it. Qinyu killed the emperor. The guards immediately rushed towards Qinyu, amazed by what they had just witnessed. Cao Huan surmised that Qinyu had obtained something in the monast desert land. After killing the emperor, Qinyu grabbed him by the robe and threw him towards the celestial, who simply opened his wings to the side. Catch him. Qinyu immediately began to flee, bidding farewell to the head of the immortals, but he was suddenly stopped by an invisible hand. Shouting this, he raised his hands and said that only a small trick led to the deaths of Qin Hong and Kingen, while Qin Yu became disabled, and that she was destined for greatness, forcing him to kneel. Upon stopping Qin Yu, Cao Huan called him too self-confident because he tried to run away from the celestial at the peak, spirituality. Immediately after killing the emperor and feeling the pressure, Qin Yu realized that this power was 10 times stronger than the last time, after which he invoked his power and stood up. Rising to his knees, Qin Yu raised his spear and launched several waves of energy towards Lingel, and Cao Dian, the celestial, destroyed the waves halfway, dismissing them as child's play. After which, he realized that Qin Yu was running away and descended the stairs in a single leap. Qin Yu bid him farewell once more. Cao Dian, spreading his wings, told Qin Yu that he would not be able to escape, after which, Qin Yu warned him that if the celestial pursued him, Cao Dian would die from grievous wounds, offering him the choice to decide what he considered more important. Cao Dian, who was bleeding, immediately begged her uncle to save her, to which he only responded with a satisfied smile and summoned Qin Yu. A strange boy then warned Qin Yu that he would let him go this time because he missed Qinju. Cao Huan healed Cyan, assuring him that his injuries were no longer. They were life-threatening. Cyan immediately told his uncle that he could not live in peace if Qin Yu survived, to which Cao Huan replied that he would certainly have committed to today's INS incident. Cao Huan turned, remembering Emperor Ligiana, and smiled, calling him a non-entity, Ling Si, who was sitting in fear of. After these words, Linga hugged Zhaoan, saying that her partner had, the Heavenly One, who explained to her that after her father's death, she had to fully support her husband, to which she could only nod with tears in her eyes. Cao Huan took off into the sky and began explaining to the people that their emperor had died, and as a result, their empire was temporarily under the control of the immortal clan. After which, he ordered everyone to capture Qin Yu. One of the guards wanted to ask the princess what to do, but she only gritted her teeth and replied that everyone should obey the immortal, which pleased him because of the simplicity with which they submitted. Qin Yu fled the empire, thinking that only endless persecution awaited him in the Divine Sword Empire, because they couldn't let the one who killed their emperor go. After that, Qin Yu wondered what Cao Huan was doing there, because he wasn't there in his previous life. Realizing that none of this, since it mattered, Shinju decided he would let Saudi Ilkingal live a little longer, after which he jumped off the cliff. Following the assassination of the emperor, a decree was issued throughout the Divine Sword Empire to punish Qinju because, as a descendant of the Qin family, he lost his integrity and committed a terrible atrocity. He killed Emperor Lian in front of his people, after which he managed to escape. Whoever manages to execute the criminal will receive as reward a each 2 portion of the city lands under the supervision of an eagle. A stagecoach rushed through the forest at full speed. Inside was. She was created by heaven itself because she is beautiful and talented, while Cao Dan are people from an immortal clan. Upon hearing this, Zhaoan called Ainga, a Qin Yu, along with his traveling companions. Qin Ju sat silently, showing no reaction, which caused his traveling companion to observe him with suspicion. Suspicious. Chinju thought that he needed to leave this state as soon as possible and head to the much larger Tian Empire due to the decree issued by the Tian Empire of the Divine Sword. He considered that while the Divine Sword Empire had several hundred cities, it was still a rather small country. However, in the Empire of Tian, there are thousands of cities, along with numerous clans and powerful factions. Compared to the Tian Empire, the Divine Sword Empire was merely a grain of sand. After that, he promised himself that he would return soon and grind Zodian and Kingle to dust. Seeing the strange appearance of the gloomy passenger, the traveling companion, Qin Yu, asked her grandfather how he could allow such a person into the carriage, because his disheveled appearance clearly demonstrates, immediately obvious that he is a bad person. Hearing this, the grandfather replied to his granddaughter, Yuga, that although this guy seems careless, his body is in excellent shape, and he could be a good helper, because the road to the Tian Empire can be quite dangerous. And with a traveling companion, they will be much safer and at ease. Hearing this, Yuga asked who would dare to threaten them, since her grandfather was Hin Nangguan himself, of the Empire of Tian. Having accidentally overheard the conversation between his fellow travelers, Qin Yu was surprised to learn the true identity of the old man next to him, a truly great person, and said that he would love her with all his heart. Then they laughed together and left. Suddenly, Qin Yuan was filled with powerful energy. Qin Yu remembered stories about Hin Nangguan, a true hero of humanity, who defended the empire's borders from the evil spirit incursions. Unfortunately, when the Immortal Clan began assisting the Divine Sword Empire, they overthrew the Tian Empire in one fell swoop in a past life, and Hin Nan Wang was killed by Zodian, and now Qinju was fortunate enough to be in the same carriage as Chen Nangguan. Noticing the traveling companion staring at him, Yua immediately questioned why he was looking at her. Qin Yu immediately turned around and claimed he was a stranger, which infuriated Hin Nangan. Meanwhile, the carriage was being pursued by unknown individuals. The coachman informed the owner that they were approximately 100 miles from the Tian Empire. Upon hearing this, Hin Nanwan ordered them to accelerate, emphasizing the urgency of reaching the Empire as quickly as possible. He then turned towards Qinju and gestured. Hearing this, Hin Nanwan ordered him to speed up because they had to reach the Empire as soon as possible. Then he turned to Qinju and made a gesture. Upon hearing this, Qinju immediately understood that Hin Nanwan had said it on purpose and had known about it from the start. What position was Qinju in at that moment? Suddenly, several arrows covered in scarlet flames struck the horse, causing it to tremble. Everyone inside immediately wondered what had happened when a huge blade attached to a chain flew toward the cart and cut it in two before returning to its owner. After destroying the chariot, the attacker warned Hin Nanwan that they had been ordered to take his head. Hin Nanwan warned, who bears a mark on his forehead, and an entity appeared in his mind asking him if he wanted to live. After that, the entity filled Qin's body. Everyone to be careful immediately, as they were being attacked by the Death Clan assassins from the Tian Empire. Hearing this, Qin Yu, he immediately recalled that they were quite famous assassins within the Empire. Tian, the woman who halted the chariot, plunged her sword into the ground, after which he demanded that Hin Nangguan immediately accept his death. Hin Nangguan, hearing this, began to stroke his beard, remarking that the Death Clan, she obviously underestimated him, after which he grew more serious and questioned whether she believed she could kill him single-handedly. Faced with his defiance, the Chinese woman responded to the old man. That, of course, she wasn't the only one after his head. Something was flying in the sky directly above Hin Nangguan. Upon realizing this, Qinu immediately warned him of the danger and then grabbed a spear and blocked the arrow, which was covered in a scarlet aura. Seeing this, Hin Nangguan was shocked by what it was happening. Reflecting the arrow, Qinju realized it was the sun arrow, and then split it in half, unleashing a wave of energy and was pushed back a few meters due to the momentum. Qinju was exhausted after reflecting the arrow. The girl who shot the arrow was clearly surprised that someone was capable of reflecting the sun arrow, after which she jumped from the tree towards her accomplice. Upon hearing about the arrow of Sand, Hin Nanwan was startled because San's arrow was one of the 3 high-level lethal weapons of the Death Clans. He realized that Yu with energy and said that it would like to see Qin Yu use his skills. Qin Yu opened his eyes and stood up abruptly, looking at his hands. He didn't understand what. The assassins were willing to spend whatever it took to kill him, after which he headed towards the assassins. Hin Nanwan said that he was willing to meekly accept her death, provided the assassins let her granddaughter and the others leave unharmed. Upon hearing this, Yua immediately rushed to her grandfather to convince him otherwise. but the sword-wielding assassin accepted her conditions, seeing it would only make things easier for her. Suddenly, Qin Yu's hand covered Hin Nanwan's face, telling Hin Nanwan that he could help him and wouldn't let him die. He then declared to the assassins that he would protect this old man, and revealed his name to them. Upon realizing who they were dealing with, the assassins agreed to assist Qin Yu with his assassination plot. Then, he asked them to introduce themselves, stating he didn't want to kill anonymous people. The assassins then decided to reveal their names to their intended victim. The archer was called Kong Yu, and the woman with the sword was Waxi. Upon hearing their names, Qin immediately recalled the Book sisters from her previous life. After the Tianan Empire collapsed, they departed for the desert lands, where they managed to become quite famous, but unfortunately, they lost to Cao Yan, after which their lives were taken. Remembering this, Qin thought it would be very beneficial to win these two over to her side. Seeing that the enemy wasn't hesitating, Waki threw a sword at Qin with all his strength, forces, essentially forcing him to accept his death. Seeing that the enemy was beginning to act, Qin threw the spear of the god of war to deflect the flying blade. The Linga dynasty would marry him, with the wedding scheduled for the very next day. People began gossiping about how the two war gods of the Qing family had died, had happened, and how he had come back to life. Remembering his grandfather and father, Qin regretted that he could only rise now, and not before, because he still could have saved them. Aimed at him. The blow was so strong that the audience had to shield themselves from the dust flying towards them due to the shockwave. While using his spear, Qin noticed. He immediately realized that there was almost no difference between the spear of the god of war and this sword, but he suddenly saw Wuxi already flying towards him, brandishing a huge sword. A huge sword came down, after which he could barely block the blow, which destroyed the ground beneath Qin Hapan. Wuxi then asked Qin if that was the spear of the god of war. Seizing the opportunity, Wuxi pulled the bowstring, saying that Qin had only managed to catch the Sendo's arrow with 30% strength last time, by pure chance, and that this time, the arrow fired with his full strength would definitely be capable of taking his life. Qin deflected the sword from Wuxi, throwing her into the air. He was surprised that his swords were repelled by someone at the first level of the spiritual realm, which made her think that she was facing some kind of divine genius. But as she prepared for another attack, she stated that the gap between them was too vast, and then instantly reacted by using the offensive ability of her yellow-level, high-class weapon, the Embracing Ice Blade. Qin summoned Yasi's ghost to block the Rising Sun Blade, barely holding it back, and saw that he was unable to contain her assault. Waxi told Qin that he couldn't even face her by himself, and then broke through Qin defenses, throwing him aside. Qin managed to, after saying this to his grandfather and father, Qin became enraged, calling Linga and Cao Dan vile creatures for setting a trap for him, orient himself in the air, landing and trying to stop his momentum with kicks in his free hands, and then he realized that even though he had summoned Yasi's ghost couldn't use powerful martial techniques in front of Waxi. At that moment, Qin stood up and then scoffed at Waxi's techniques, Waxi's inferior combat skills, to which she retorted that he was talking nonsense. Qin explained to Waxi that his martial arts were incomplete and that he was trying to use black-level techniques while only wielding yellow-level weapons. During this exchange, Waki attacked Qin with a series of attacks, but he closed his eyes, after which he was able to easily evade all of them. Dodging Waki's series of attacks, Qin timed his move and was about to stab Waxi's neck with a spear, but stopped just before the blow landed, shocking Waxi in the process. Then, he reiterated that his combat techniques were incomplete and riddled with flaws. As he watched his sister being held captive, Rin Waki called out. He called Qin a bastard, while demanding that he release his sister. Qin considered this and then suggested that Waxi improve his techniques, but with a condition. Hearing this, Waxi interrupted Qin yelling that he didn't need help to improve his techniques, because if his techniques were inferior to those of the enemy, then he deserved to die. Waxi then turned to his sister and ordered her not to hesitate, but to simply kill him, along with the Mott family, killing his grandfather and father, turning him into a cripple, and now they want to celebrate a wedding for which his family was completely destroyed. Enemy in order to complete her mission. Waki trembled as she prepared to fire. Qin knew that the bond between the Waxi sisters was incredibly strong, and, therefore, Waxi could be ignored as she observed the fight. Yua unexpectedly conceded that Qin was indeed strong, and her grandfather thought that he had correctly bet on the Qing family's boy because he was so skilled, after which he suggested that the journey to the desert lands was meant for him. The very helpful Qin tightened his grip on the spear in his hand, then brought its tip closer to Waxi, Seeing this, Waxi asked him to stop and throw the bow and arrows to the ground, after which she bowed, requesting that Chin-ju let Waxi go and kill only her. After considering the situation, Chin-yu removed his spear from Waxi and declared that the Death Clan is despicable and shameless. Even though they raised them, they act against the sisters' will in everything. He then asked them if they truly wanted to remain with them, while touching his neck. Wuxi questioned how Chin-ju could possibly know such a thing from the Death Clan, to which he responded that of course he knew, and that he was aware that their leader had been plotting an affair with for a long time. The sisters, shocked by what they were hearing, caused Wuxi to shout that it couldn't be true, after which Chin-yu continued speaking about his clan, saying that all the people who were murdered by the sisters, and even their family members, were all secretly controlled by the Death Clan. They were transformed into puppets. At that moment, he woke up. After thinking it over, Chin-yu got up and immediately ran towards Showdown and Linga to speak with them after which they were tortured and ridiculed. Upon hearing this, they retorted that it couldn't be true, and that their leader only kills those deserving of death. Chin-ju suggested that the sisters verify everything themselves, believing he had successfully planted a seed of doubt within them since they were unaware of the truth about the clan, and their eventual defection to his side was now only a matter of time. Observing the disheartened sisters, Chin-yu presented them with an offer. He proposed that they abandon the clan and pledge their service to him instead. Taken aback by his words, Waxi could only chuckle, sarcastically calling it a grand gesture of generosity. Waxi then inquired if Chin-yu was truly aware of the Death Clan's strength and the consequences they would face if they were to abandon it, stating that only death would await them, which led her to question whether he could truly protect them. Chin-yu concealed his spear and advised them not to make a hasty decision, adding that he would grant them time to consider his proposition, which he told the sisters that, if they mustered their courage, they could find him at the farthest reaches of the Tianan Empire, where he would be waiting. Angry, Waki told Chin-ju that he had the opportunity to kill her, and now she and her sister would do everything in their power to kill him. The nonchalant Kinju suggested they give it a try. Hearing this, WXI lost his enthusiasm for battle, and the book's sisters declared that they never forget a debt and would definitely kill him next time. After telling Chinju everything, he told Henan Wang that he didn't think he could live as carefree as before now that he had come to the Tianan Empire, and that the Death Clan would have hundreds more ways to deal with him. Wedding. Seeing Chin-yu, Cao Dan laughed angrily and hit him, after which Cao Dan, along with the servants, took Chin-yu to the desolate lands. Henan Wang was at a loss for words. After what she saw, Yuga blushed with embarrassment and began twisting her hair with her finger as she tried to thank Chin-yu. Seeing this, Chin-yu bowed to Yuga and told her that it was a great honor for him to be personally thanked by Henan Hang's granddaughter. Then, he turned to her grandfather and asked if he could give him his granddaughter as his wife. The sudden question made Yuga even more embarrassed, causing her to practically emit smoke from her ears. Upon hearing this question, Wan responded to Chin-yu that, from a cultivation perspective, Chin-yu could be called a leader but lacks courage, and if reputation is taken into consideration, then this would be going too far. Yuga turned to Chin-yu, curious to know what kind of reputation he was referring to. His grandfather and his reputation, after which she realized that he was the very same Chin-ju who had assassinated the Emperor of the Divine Sword Empire and was wanted by everyone. She realized that Grandpa had known everything from the start, to which he responded that she was too slow to catch on. Henan Wang placed his hand on his granddaughter's shoulder and said that if Chin-yu's brother truly desired this, then he was willing to take on such a responsibility. Upon hearing about the marriage license, Yua tried to say something, but suddenly Chin-yu coughed and said that he still needed to think it over, as he was only joking, which caused desert, hoping that he would not survive. Everything will be all right, the girl said, trying to cheer up the exhausted Chin-yu, after which she gave him water to drink. She was the sister of Yua, to collapse to the ground. Ignoring Yua, Chin-yu told Henan Wang to hurry, to which Henan Wang agreed. Hearing that it was a joke, the embarrassed Yuga burned with anger and only wanted to return the favor. Tiananmen, Chin-yu, and their companions were approaching the majestic gates of Tiananmen. Seeing Hin Nani, the people immediately greeted their king, and then began discussing him, with the men admiring their ruler. While the girls chatted with Princess Yua by her side, a man tried to pass through the crowd. Huanfa pushed his way through the crowd and immediately, he greeted his ruler, then bowed and said that his father remembered him fondly. Henan Wang laughed as he stroked his beard and said that he also hadn't seen his father in a long time. Huang Fa approached Yuga, calling her Liu to greet her and tell her that she missed him a lot. Startled by Wan Fa's overbearing attitude, Liu nervously told him that they didn't know each other very well. Hearing this, Wan Fa, not understanding why she would say that, this was because everyone around him had been married since childhood and considered each other childhood sweethearts. Upon hearing this, Qin Yu told Liu that she had good taste, and that Wan Fa was quite talented, to which she retorted with a shout of no. Hearing Qin Yu's words, Wan Fa laughed narcissistically and told Qin Yu that he didn't deserve such praise, which infuriated Liu. Angry, Liu plotted how to get revenge on him, and she hugged Qin Yu, blushing as she called him her beloved. After rescuing Qin Ju from the desert, Linga Linga emerged after 10 years of training. Qin Yu was able to seize the opportunity presented to him, shocking everyone present. Finding himself in an awkward position, Shinju realized how right Qinju had turned out to be, thinking that his time would come. Better, hearing Liyu's words, Hinan Wang and his entourage supported Liu, shocking Huan Fa, who couldn't believe it. To top it off, Nan Hang Liu added that Qin Yu was her lover. After these words, the ground beneath Huan Fa's feet cracked with his rage, and he released a furious aura. Huan Fa asked Liu not to make him laugh when he was angry. Liu told him that they had been together for a long time and would soon be married. Huan Fa, she seethed with rage, breaking her fan, and told Liu that she was probably just tired from the journey, even organizing a banquet for her, after which he turned to the king with a bow, adding that the banquet was also in his honor. And pleased with how things were unfolding, he accepted the banquet. He rubbed his beard thoughtfully. In the city of Tina, enormous dinosaurs ridden like horses paraded through the streets, admired by the onlookers. On the back of one of the, regarding the dinosaurs, Liu remarked to her grandfather that it had been a long time since they had last visited. Qin Yu and Wan Fa, standing on the opposite side, remained silent with their arms crossed. Unable to contain his emotions any longer, Huan Fa turned to Qin Yu and warned him that even though he didn't know him, Liu belonged solely to him. Following this outburst, he advised Qin Yu to leave Tiantan as soon as possible and then leave the city altogether the next day, or he would skin him alive. He celebrated his inheritance of the desert lands, but he did not expect what happened next. During their training, Linga killed his sister and took Linga in. Upon hearing this suggestion, Qin Yu smiled and agreed to leave Tiantan, but Huan Fa would have to wait a little while. After all, he wanted to get married first. With Liu giving birth to his son and daughter, only then will he be ready to return and discuss it. Huan Fa introduced Qin Yu and Liu to a child, from which his heart clenched, and he decided that this would not happen. Consequently, he threatened to kill Qin Yu, calling him insolent and declaring that Liu would not protect him. Qin Yu apologized and added that he could be both arrogant and talented, while also requesting Huan Fa to keep his word. Hearing this, the infuriated Huan Fa still released Qin Yu, warning that his time would come. Qin Yu dusted off the spot where Huan Fa had grabbed his clothes and reflected that Liu had caused him too many problems. As soon as Tina City, the blacksmith clan, appeared, there were artifacts from the blacksmith clan at the entrance, including a furnace. Fueled up, Huan Fa jumped off the dinosaur and then addressed the king and his daughter, telling them that they had arrived. King Hin, Nanwan, and Liu then descended after him. Hin Nanwan, rubbing his beard, acknowledged that the blacksmith clan was famous throughout Tina for good reason. The doors alone were decorated with a huge amount of yellow metal, which Liu found distasteful. Huan Fa bowed before the king, thanking him for his praise, and explained that all the decorations at the entrance had been forged by his father, after which he invited them to enter the hall. Huan Fa accompanied the guests to the banquet hall. Upon entering, he explained that his father would not be at the banquet because he had important business to attend to, and that he would be receiving King Hin Nanwan's guest of honor today. Qin Ju screamed in despair as he headed straight to the imperial palace to take his revenge. Upon arriving, Qin Ju realized that Linga and Cao Dan had already left. Upon entering, he explained that his father would not be at the banquet because he had important business, and that he would be receiving King Hin Nanwan's guest of honor today. After which, he asked for a minute to arrange the dinner, observing the blacksmith clan from the inside. Shinju admitted that it was indeed very lavish. On the table were many dishes prepared in honor of the king and his daughter's return. Huan Fa invited the guests to the table, then brought out the main course, underground dragon meat, underground dragon, and offered it to Liu because it perfectly strengthens the body. He said he had personally prepared it for Liu and that it was quite difficult to obtain. Upon seeing this meat, Shinju immediately grabbed it, causing Huan Fa to be surprised and attempt to take the meat back. But, suddenly, Xinyu defended himself with his hand, surprising Huan Fa with his brute strength. After sitting down, he immediately ate the underground dragon meat. He felt his body suddenly strengthened with greater power, and satisfied with the result, he immediately began clearing the food table, seizing the opportunity. Huan Fa decided to tell the king the news, informing him that he had recently been able to awaken the sacred fire of the 5th, rank C, for which his divine ancestor congratulated him, surprising Hin Nangguan and Liu. After that, he mentioned that his master had learned of Huan Fa's desire to marry Liu, so in a few days, he would personally visit Tian Paragu. This surprised the king and his daughter, Glum Chinju, as well. Having already departed, Chinju had no choice but to embark on the path of cultivation once more. After Chinju managed to become they were surprised that Huan Fa was able to awaken the sacred fire, because the sacred fire is a unique magical power that only a martial artist can develop, and is divided into 9 ranks, ranging from the weakest to the 9 strongest. Once a warrior awakens the sacred fire, they can obtain the most honorable person on the continent, and become the master of Chinju Temple. He thought that even though Huan Fa was lucky to awaken rank 5, he was still a rarity, while Huan Fa's ancestor, who was an exceptional individual, was not only able to reach rank 6, but was also able to bring his cultivation level to the peak of the spiritual realm, demonstrating that he wields considerable power within the Tian Empire, surprising everyone around him. Huan Fa added that his mentor had also promised that he and Liu would hold a wedding so magnificent that the world hadn't seen one like it in a very long time. Remained silent. Hinnan realized that they would now be in trouble after dinner. After taking Qinyu to the furthest reaches of the Munger, Tian Empire, Liu asked him why he was heading to the edge of the empire, since he could stay in the king's palace. Xinyu turned around and asked Liu if she would miss him. Then he saw Liu pursing her lips with a gloomy look and abruptly turned around, rubbing her face with her hand, telling Qinyu that he had left already. Qinyu mentally supported Liu, telling her not to worry about Huan Fa because he was not as good as because they ventured too deep into the desert lands, and how Qinju, the best warrior of both Tonggu and the ruling dynasty, was now an invalid. The man who supreme, he resumed his hunt for Linga and Yodan. By then, Linga had already become the empress of the entire continent, and Cao Dan, the chief, he appeared to be. And that, in reality, Qinyu and Liu were made for each other. After which, he promised himself that he would not let her fall into the clutches by Huan Fa. In the living room, Qinyu was meditating in his room, summoning the phantom dragon Yazi within his body. In this way, he tempered his physical form. While meditating, he contemplated into faster methods for self-improvement, such as consuming natural treasures or the meat of mutated beasts. He resolved that he would find something suitable tomorrow. And then he could enter the 2nd level of the spiritual realm and become capable of subduing the 2nd beast, the 9-legged golden crow. Qinyu wanted to see Huan Fa's expression after summoning the 9-legged golden crow, which controls the fire of heaven and earth, a sacred fire, of rank 9. After this, Qinyu mentally departed. In the blacksmith clan, a spy approached Huan Fa, who was alone on the balcony, and discovered the Jila information she needed. She found out that the stranger Liu was with was called Qin Yu and came from the Qin family of the Sword Empire. Divine. After hearing the report, Huan Fa recalled the rumors about the Qin family and then asked the spy if Qin Yu was the one with the horns of a immortal, to which the spy responded with a confirmation. Huan Fa gritted his teeth and began to laugh maniacally, saying that he was trying to understand what kind of person had been by his side all this time, only to turn out to be just trash. After this realization, he decided that he would still give her time to live because he wants. The immortal clan allied with monarchs from around the world to kill Qinju. They then engaged in a deadly battle, but because Qinju was Qinyu personally, to see Liu become his wife. At the same time, Xinyu took out a scroll, saying that describing the martial art is quite tedious, and he thought that in a past life, he had obtained the Thunder Palm, and even though it was a low-level, black-grade item, it could be exchanged for many jewels of nature. Qinyu got out of bed and left the room, putting on his cloak and heading to the Tian auction house. Upon entering the auction house, Qinyu was delighted to return to this place. He immediately began to feel nostalgic, looking at the interior of the auction house. Seeing the visitor, the hostess, asked Qinyu what he desired, to which Qinyu replied that it was none of her concern, and demanded that Miss Warner be called. The hostess then apologized and hurried off, asking Qinyu to wait a bit. After a while, a 3-headed snake crawled up to Qinyu, and seated on its back was the beautiful Miss Warner, the hostess of the auction house, led Warner to Qinyu, immediately greeting him, and remarking that it had been a long time since they last saw each other, which made him wonder who Qin Yu was. He promptly stated his desire to participate in the underground auction that day. Much to the surprise of Warner and his assistant, Miss Warner then asked Qin Yu to follow her. Upon arriving at the empty room, the escort let Warner and Qin Yu inside, subsequently locking the door behind them. As he entered, Qin Yu commented that it was good to be back. Miss Warner, outnumbered, he was wounded and surrounded. Zodan commanded Qinju to accept his death, stating that he could not escape, to which Qinju filled his heart with, lit her pipe, then told Qinyu that they were not acquainted and questioned how he knew her. Qinyu simply responded that he didn't need to know, and he added that he was already familiar with the auction's rules. Qinju then produced a scroll he had recently written and asked Warner how much it would cost to open the auction with it. Warner asked Qinyu what the scroll contained. He then realized that it was a black level technique. Qinyu confirmed that it was indeed a black level technique. Black level, as if it had no value to him. After which Miss Warner questioned whether he was certain about putting it up for auction, given that black level techniques, black level, were extremely valuable. She then informed Qinju that he could obtain 1,000,000 gold by selling the technique, and followed up by saying that if he trusted, in the auction house, they could give him 1.5 million. Qinju considered that a tempering pill cost around 10 gold, and with 1.5 million, he could buy 150 pills, after which he accepted the offer, stating that he wanted to exchange the money for the equivalent amount of tempering pills. Elated by the successful transaction, Warner agreed with Qinyu and thanked him. Afterwards, Warner lit a pipe and pondered how it was unexpected to receive a black-level technique from someone like that, leading him to suggest that Qinyu might be a follower of some spiritual sect, strong expert who came to Tiananmen to train, and asked Qinyu if he wanted to participate further in today's auction, which he agreed to since he came to the, energy, and proclaimed that if he died, he would take them all with him. Surprisingly, Kinga and Sangdan. Then, an explosion erupted, ending the lives of everyone. Auctioned specifically for an extraordinary jewel that would be exhibited that day. Warner offered to escort Qinyu to the underground auction room, and subsequently led him there, auction, and greeted him upon his arrival at the arena. The people around him were surprised because they had never seen Warner smile so sweetly, which made them interested in the person he was accompanying. Sitting in his seat, Qinyu looked at Miss Warner again and commented that the view from this vantage point was excellent, to which she replied that only the most cherished guests of her auction house were permitted to sit in this location. Suddenly, someone began calling out to Warner, greeting her from a distance. He announced that he had come to see her. Upon hearing this voice, Warner became alert and greeted Mr. Wang, approaching him with a smile on her face. Wang began telling Warner that he had brought her an excellent product, to which Warner expressed her gratitude to Mr. Wang as he walked away. Covering her face with her hand, Wang said that her father had approached her multiple times about finding a partner, a suggestion she consistently refused. He then attempted to touch her, but Warner dodged while laughing, causing Wang Ke to miss. Hangan laughed, finding it easy to embarrass Warner, and they had already argued with her father, stating that with today's good fortune, the entire fee should be considered her ransom. Smiling cheerfully, she declared that even her father couldn't refuse such an offer, which disheartened Warner. Observing the scene behind him, Qinju realized he was right. The divine spear would be sold on the battlefield. Recalling the events of his past life, Qinju vowed that he would take revenge on Sao Daniil and Kinga. After all, a fortunate accident. Today, the damaged divine spear. Wanan saw Qinyu sitting and brazenly grabbed his shoulder, claiming it was his private space and that he wanted Qinju to move. He would roll as far away from here as possible. Seeing how Wang Kang was attacking his guest, Warner defended him, saying that he was his guest and there was no need to be so rude to him. Frightened by what he heard, Wang Kang, holding back tears, told Warner that this place had always been his, to which Qin Yu responded that this place now belongs to him. Upon hearing this, Wang Kang began to threaten Qin Yu, calling him trash who had only reached the first spiritual realm. Qin Yu, not wanting to hear this noise, punched Wang Kang in the face, causing him to fly back a few meters, and tried to say something. Qin Yu told Wang Kang that he was pissing him off, and that he would go to the other world if he said one more word. Having reached his limit, Wang Kang gritted his teeth and called him a freak. Qin Yu, after which he unleashed his energy, and declared that no one dared to speak to him in such a tone, adding that if he wanted to die, Wang An was willing to help him along. Seeing what Wang An was doing, Warner ordered him to stop immediately, explaining that no one was allowed to cause a scene in the lobby of his auction house and that this rule applied to everyone without exception. Upon hearing this, Wang An immediately began trying to explain himself, pointing at Qin Yu, after which the angry Warner ordered him to be quiet at once. Wang An could only nod fearfully in response to her order, after which he sat down in his seat, thinking that he should endure the offense in the desert lands provided him with the Book of Nature, which contained 108 ancient ferocious beasts and 72 ancient divine beasts. Upon unrolling, Warner, but Qin Yu would be finished as soon as he left the room. Hearing what was happening, a man sitting in the back rows while using a tablet, he informed his master that Qin Yu had argued with Hangan. After hearing from a spy that Qin Yu and Hangan had quarreled, a Huangfa family entertained their maids by eating grapes. He realized that Qin Yu was courting death, after which he marked Hangan using a tablet. Huangfa then told Huang Kang about Qin Yu, and was pleased to learn that the person who insulted him was merely a pawn from a declining empire, and not someone of real power. Boehner came on stage to greet the guests at his auction, announcing that the auction would feature many truly incredible items, far surpassing all previous lots. Hearing this, the guests cheered, eager for the auction to begin soon, as they were already greatly intrigued. He waved his hand, signaling for the first batch to be brought forward, and announced that it was a second-class survival pill. After that, he opened the box, revealing a pill that radiated pure energy. Boehner explained that regardless of whether someone was alive or dead, made of flesh or bone, regardless of how severe their injuries were, anyone who consumed this pill could recover instantly. And then he announced the starting price of 100,000 gold. Immediately, an uproar erupted in the room. A bald man shouted out a bid of 150,000. He was immediately interrupted. The Qin Ju scroll revealed that he could awaken one of the beasts, and subsequently, he summoned the Phantom of Yasi. The formidable Yasi possessed an incredibly strong body, by a man with horns sitting next to him, who yelled out a price of 180,000. Qin Ju yawned at the sight of the first lot, and decided to sleep until something worthwhile appeared. The pity, after which he instantly fell asleep. Hangan, who was sitting nearby, told Qin Yu to continue sleeping peacefully, as it was his last day. Half an hour later, Hangan congratulated the man in the front row on acquiring the jewel. He then ordered the stagehands to bring the next item to the stage and announce to everyone the final lot of today's auction. After the announcement, the curtains opened, and several men carried a rather large box onto the stage. Upon hearing about the final lot, Shinju immediately woke up, wiping his saliva off with anticipation. The Forge Clan spy immediately burst out, saying that he needed this weapon. Boehner began to present the lot. It was a divine weapon of first class, a damaged divine spear. He then added that even though it was broken, it was still a divine weapon, and its starting price was 1 million gold. After which, he offered to raise the bids. As soon as the Forge Clan spy saw the lot, he immediately offered 1.5 million for it. After that, he explained to those around him that this item was very important to his clan and that he hoped others would respect that. Boehner then realized immediately that the Forge and Foundry clan was trying to lower the product's price again. Qin Yu was about to bid, but suddenly a woman. His body and bones were stronger than anyone else's. Moreover, with Yasi's assistance, Shinju would be capable of reaching the first level of cultivation in the spiritual realm. In a trenchcoat appeared at his side and offered 2 million, saying that she also really needed it. Looking at the cloaked figure, Shinju guessed. It was immediately clear that it was Gusi, and upon hearing the 2 million offer, the Smithing Clan's spy immediately caused a scene, demanding an explanation as to how anyone dared to outbid his clan. He then ordered Woi to roll off the stage. Hearing these words, Woi removed his hood, which scared the spy, as the Death Clan also wanted to take the damaged divine spear into their own hands. He realized that he couldn't do anything against the Death Clan and hoped his master would understand the situation. Woi smiled, saying that the item was his now. To the sound of this, Qin Ju jumped from his seat and bid 3 million, after which he smiled mockingly at Agusi, who became angry, thinking it was done on purpose. Meanwhile, Wei was shocked that a brat like that could possess 3 million gold. Banner then inquired if anyone else would offer more gold, to which nobody could answer. Since no one could surpass Qin Yu's bid, Banner announced that the damaged rank 1 divine weapon now belonged to Qin Yu, and then he blew her a kiss, which surprised everyone. Black Thunder Palm. It was only after witnessing such a rare black level technique that people became rejoiced in anticipation. After which Banner announced the starting price of 5 million and declared the bidding open. The room was immediately filled with noise. All, remembering the faces of Ininga and Isodan, Chin-ju declared that they would soon experience the full force of his wrath. Suddenly, the door to those with money placed their bets, hoping to win the jackpot. The bald man bid 6 million, and the bearded man bid 7. After Wanan exploded like a volcano shouted out a price of 10 million, the blacksmith clan spy didn't stay silent either, outbidding Wanan with a 12 million wager. Wanan became angry with the spy, and then asked Wanan for an explanation, to which the spy responded that the young master had instructed him to obtain this technique at all costs, and apologized to Wanan. After that, he increased his own bid, betting 15 million. Hearing this, Wanan was consumed with rage, telling Wan Fa that he would no longer help him in his revenge against Qin Yu. Wuxi matched the paltry bet of 15 million, then raised her hand and bet 18 million. But Qin Yu suddenly stopped her, covering her mouth and asking her not to bet, saying he would explain the reasons later. Infuriated by Qin Yu's behavior, Wuxi retorted that she didn't have to. He listened to her and was about to bet 20 million, but she lowered his hand, after which she agreed with Qin Yu, leaving him confused and wondering why. He should have listened to her. Since no one else raised the bet, Wansan announced that the blacksmith spy now owned the technique. Hearing this, the spy laughed triumphantly. Obtain a black-level technique for his lord. Shinju told Wuxi not to forget what he had told him, after which he asked him to come to visit her, saying that she lived in the largest guest house in Tianyi, and then left. A moment later, Wanan entered Qin Yu's room, saying that the room opened and a man walked in, immediately expressing surprise at Qin Yu's awakening. Upon seeing him, Qin Yu immediately gritted his. He was too late, to which he responded that he had come as soon as he had the chance, after which Wanan expressed his gratitude to Qin Yu. He told her that she was a great colleague because she was able to sell equipment at that price without even deceiving the buyers. Then he asked her if he could. Wanan approached Qin Yu and whispered in her ear that he could still help her with something. Hearing this, Qin Yu wanted to ask her a question, so he grabbed her by the waist and raised her chin, after which he asked the blushing Wanan if she could do him a favor. Wanan wanted to ask what Qin Yu wanted to do, but, in a fit of passion, she was about to kiss him. Suddenly, Qin Yu extended his hand, saying that he wouldn't make fun of her and simply asked her to bring him his item. Wanan immediately took out the ring, then coughed, and explained to Qin Yu that it was a storage ring that the auction house had given to Qin Yu, along with the others, watched as Qin Yu put on the ring and immediately commented that it wasn't bad, considering it was a mid-tier yellow-level storage ring. After that, she remembered something and asked Waner to let her know if Wanan invited her to excavate the ancient ruins in the future, adding that he would also like to go. Following this, he said goodbye and departed, leaving Banner to wonder which ruins he was referring to. On Grand Tian Avenue, Qin Yu walked lazily through the city streets, reflecting that in his past life, he was already familiar with Waner, but after returning from the place, stood by the column expressed surprise that the princess was marrying so soon, to which a nearby woman replied that any woman would want teeth because it was Qin Shuan, the eldest member of the Qin family, who was like a brother to his father, but had secretly allied himself with Li Qingge to ancient chamber. She was then forced to marry Wanan because he harbored a whole conspiracy against her. But alas, after the wedding, Wanan, he revealed his true colors and turned his wife's life into a complete hell. Although Qinju couldn't save Waner from this abyss in his past life, he vowed to give her paradise in this life. Late into the night, Qinju was meditating in his room as pills swirled around him. He thought that ordinary warriors at the first level of the spiritual realm could only take one tempering pill. Talented individuals can take a few, 3 at a time. Warriors who have reached the peak can take up to 10 pills at a time, but Qinju, possessing the power of Yasi, is unmatched, and his physical strength allows him to take 150 pills at once. Qinju began to absorb the pills, and during this process, he saw the silhouette of a golden crow. 9 legs appeared and absorbed all of his energy at once, causing him to scream as all of his outer clothing was torn to pieces. Qinyu was exhausted from swallowing 150 pills, but the symbol of the 9-legged golden crow appeared on his forehead. Looking at his hands, he confirmed that 150 tempering pills were indeed enough for him to break through to the second level of the spiritual realm. Qinyu caught a small flame from the 9-legged golden crow with the tip of his finger, after which he transferred the flame to the finger of his other hand. Qinyu acknowledged the heavenly flame, and then shook the flame off, satisfied. sending Qin Yu to the desert lands with his grandfather and father, after which he transformed into a sadistic dog and slaughtered Qin Yu's entire family upon seeing them from his finger, and retrieved the damaged divine spear and the Qing clan war god spear from his inventory ring, after which he released a flame. Alarmed, he thought the mysterious celestial fire could empower all things, making it easy to connect the broken spear with the spear of the war god. With it, the sky lit up in a flash, signifying the creation of a new divine weapon. As Qinju gazed at the upgraded spear of the war god, he grabbed the spear, thinking he could upgrade his own into a first-stage divine weapon, and stated that he was now close to the 5th level of the spiritual realm. Sensing the surrounding force, the people carrying the palanquins suddenly stopped when they saw how the sky above Tin was suddenly illuminated with a flash. Seeing the light through the palanquin's curtains, the old man sitting inside opened them. As he pondered the flash, it led him to believe that a first-stage divine weapon had appeared in Tin, and if that were truly the case, if there is a first-stage divine weapon, then he had to devise a plan to acquire it, after which he chuckled, anticipating the benefit to the clan of the Death. The elaborately decorated death clam was adorned with dark elements, such as fiery skulls with eye sockets, resplendent and seemingly glowing with life. Wu and Shi bowed to their master in greeting. Oasis Shin, the head of the Death Clan, reprimanded the to Qin Yu. Qin Shuang rejoiced at the tearing of his veins because he was now nothing more than a nobody, after which he burst out laughing. He was happy how the peas in Dai Sinklans. Wu sisters for their failures. They failed to assassinate King Henan and also failed to acquire the necessary items at the auction, leaving him to wonder what course of action to take. With that, Wu placed his hand on his heart and begged for clemency, asking that they not be punished, which made Hiran laugh as he lifted Wuxi's chin with his finger. Hiran reminded them that he had raised them since they were children, and then asked how he could possibly punish them after all that. Following these words, Hiran told the sisters that they had a new task and that he hoped they wouldn't mess it up this time. Wu and Wuxi immediately accepted the task with gloomy expressions. Hearing that his servants were ready for the task, Hiran began to explain that the person who had previously ruined all of his plans was Qinju, who was from the Qin family of the Divine Sword Empire, and was forced to leave that empire for the Tin Empire because he killed to Emperor Ligiana, which prompted the Immortal Clan to issue a decree to capture Qinju, entrusting this matter to Sister Gu. Upon hearing this, the sisters, they immediately bowed and departed towards their objective. As soon as the sisters left, Wasa's siren erupted in anger, calling them useless, saying that they couldn't even complete such simple tasks, and that he had raised them all these years for nothing, after which he grabbed her face and told her that if they failed in the task again, he would have to find new pets. The next day, Ligiana waits for Qinju first thing in the morning after leaving the time. The peerless genius Qin Yu had fallen from the altar, becoming mere trash. Hearing this, Qin Yu cursed the dog's head, thinking that it seemed to be a place, Qinan Inn. Then he asked Qinju what he wanted from him at such an early hour. Ligiana approached Qinju and told him that, starting today, he would be living in the palace, because this inn wasn't suitable for him. Hearing this, Qinju asked if she missed her fiancé, to which Liana began to justify herself by saying that he had to go to the palace to acquire divine weapons, and because of a fight with Wang Fei and Wang Xian. He added that, individually, they weren't that frightening, but, together, they could capture Qinju. Qinju patted Ligiana on the head, asking if she was worried about him, and told her that as long as she was there, none of those guys would dare to hurt him. Ligiana became enraged by the head pat and immediately shouted that the problem was with the Death Clan, who had intercepted the Divine Sword Empire's mission and had already sent people to kill him. Qinju put his hand on Ligiana's and asked her why. She was worried that he wasn't afraid, so she asked him to teach her. Tiana Ligiana desperately said that she didn't even know what to say to comfort him. While strolling around Tiana, Qinju and Ligiana ate sweets together, watched the circus performers, and enjoyed the sights as they walked. While on the bridge, Ligiana noticed someone she knew. She immediately recognized Warner from the auction house, who had become very beautiful since their last meeting. Qinju made Ligiana look at herself first, causing her to blush. With that, Qinju and Ligiana approached Warner and greeted her, to which she, empty, only changing in name, and that even if he fell from the altar, Qin Yu would not be able to break it. Hearing the cripple's insolent words, Qin responded. Upon seeing her friend, Ligiana happily told her that it had been a long time since they had seen each other, asking her why she had been so distant, and that she still, I could call her I Uck. Hearing this, Warner burst out laughing and continued to call her I Uck, Seeing that Chinju and Lijiana were together, Warner asked if they minded him intruding, to which he replied, how could he possibly mind meeting such a beautiful woman, after which, he asked the real reason for his visit. Warner said that since Lijiana was also present, she should agree that Chinju should take special care regarding the Death Clan, to which he replied that it was nothing to worry about. Hearing that Chinju wasn't concerned about encountering the assassins from the Death Clan, Warner prepared to leave so as not to distract the two of them, but suddenly Lijiana embraced her, offering to give her a hug. I walked with them, suggesting that Lijiana show Tiana around, since Lijiana has been here for a long time, while I haven't and don't remember much. Chinju accepted the Lijiana's suggestion, then gave Lijiana and Warner a tight hug, causing them to blush and laugh. They said that they definitely had to go together because of the hug. Warner began to think even more about Chinju. Afterwards, they went for a walk to the Oriental Market. Tiana, seeing Lijiana and Warner walking through the city, embracing each other, people began to argue about what was happening. They wondered what kind of man he was, who dared to embrace. Shuang immediately ordered him to shut his mouth. After all, he did everything he could for the Qin family, but received nothing in return, which made him such beauties. After which some people remembered how they had recently seen him being received with honors and an audience. Chinju only heard these discussions. I could only sigh at how immense his popularity was. Warner told Chinju not to worry about the crowd, while Lijiana realized that she was panicking. Suddenly, Chinju heard the sound of a whip and immediately headed towards it. The hustle and bustle, a slave trader was punishing the slave for trying to escape, striking her with a whip. The slave could only moan in response, holding back her tears. The slave trader said that he wasn't asking for ransom money, so she would simply run away, stating that he could kill her if she tried to escape again. Warner immediately recognized the slaver, calling him fat, and saying that he had started torturing the slave again. Seeing the scene, Lijiana's spirit ignited, and she decided that something day would definitively free the empire from the slave trade. Warner explained that Fatal is a very arrogant and domineering person who can do whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants due to the fact that he is a relative of the Juan de la Herreria family. He then added that every month, or every 15 days, he humiliates his slaves in public. Meanwhile, the fat, manly man gives the slave another blow, knocking her back to the ground, and again asked her if she would run away from him because he feeds her and sings to her, and yet she, like an ungrateful person, runs away from him. The slave gathered her strength when the fat man demanded an answer. Unable to contain her, forcing him to betray his family, he then declared that from now on, the Qing family would be known as the Qin Xuan family. Upon hearing this, Qin Yu rose to his feet, consumed by rage, tears. She turned to the fat man and told him that if he killed her, she would take him with her to the next world because he had killed her and her entire family. Hearing the growl, the slave kicked the fat man, demanding to know what he had done to her family, calling him trash like herself, and said she would have killed him if she could. He shouted that Liu gave him money for her pretty face, which was a huge sum, and that now he was her master. With that said, the fat man stomped on the ground, and grabbed the slave by the chain on her collar. Hearing the name Jiro Hao Chinju, he immediately asked the girls if that was the slave's name, to which Warner replied affirmatively. Hearing the answer, Chinju smiled with satisfaction, and said he hadn't expected to see this here. Seeing Chin-Yu's smile, Liu realized that he was about to do something that didn't bode well. Chin-Yu approached the fat man, saying that a slave needed to be saved as he remembered how, in a past life, people had encountered something terrible. Fatly released the chain and began to drown because he was too tired, after which he turned to the people and demanded they disperse, asking them if they had never seen a disobedient slave being beaten. After these words, Jirayu looked darkly at Fatli. Seeing this look, he wondered why he was scared of the gaze of a miserable slave, after which he waved his whip and prepared to strike again. Suddenly, Chinju grabbed the end of it. Fatli, surprised by what was, he began to confront Qin Xuan, who claimed that everything that had transpired was Chinu's fault. Furious, Qin Shuang vowed that he would send Chinju to the underworld that very day, and, happening, asked Chinju, the stranger, who dared to interfere in his affairs. Chinyu replied, "Write down the price," to which the fat man responded that she was not for sale, as he was reminded of Fatli and the slave girl who had been sold against her will, and he declared that in this case, he would redeem her by force. This made the fat man laugh. Fatli questioned whether this brat knew who he was, and then ordered him to leave once more. Upon hearing Chinju's refusal, he said that he had another option. The arrogant fat man started to tell Chinju that he wouldn't dare, but at that moment, Chinju punched the fat man in the face, causing him to go back 10 meters. The people around him were shocked that someone would dare to hit Fatly. They realized that this boy would meet his end because of the blacksmith clan. Only Jiraiya watched Chinju in amazement. Getting up from the ground, Fatly was angrier than ever. Fatly summoned a ghost boy, shouted that he would kill Chinyu, and then used a yellow-level technique, while Baoru Chinyu stood meekly. Fatly was flying toward him when suddenly, Chinyu's eyes glowed, and Fatly crashed into an energy wall, sending him flying into the neighboring streets. After sending the fat man flying, Chinyu mused about the name of the fat man's technique, commenting that it suited a pig like him. Chinyu then approached the fide slave and caressed her head, telling her that she now belonged to him, and then used his flames to break the chains that bound her. This made them. He demanded that he tell Chining that he was the one who killed him. Immediately after uttering those words, a fist came flying towards his face, his body crashing into the ground. Admire him. Nearby, someone was talking about how strange this guy was, and how Hang Fei would be absolutely furious if he found out about this. Chinyu. He picked up the sleeping Jiro Ayu, and together with the girls, they left the area. When the others saw Princess Yubai and Wanner, they became curious about who she was. After that, the guy dressed in green suggested that Fatly had offended an important person, to which the guy next to him, holding a basket, responded that the Herrera clan wouldn't just take her for a stroll through the streets like that. Lu asked Chinyu what he was planning to do with the girl, while Wanner offered him to live in the house of option if he couldn't find a place for her. Chinju smiled in satisfaction, saying that he was arranging everything himself. He then realized that she was exactly who he suspected because of the ancient demon aura she carried in her blood. Thinking about the bad possibilities, Lu twisted his face and said no. She thought she liked Xinyu, then turned to Liu and told him that he didn't understand anything because this girl had an incredible future, which led Liu to believe that Xinyu was just throwing dust in everyone's eyes to deceive them. Xinyu remembered that Giro Yu would become a demon lord in the future, and that in a few decades, he would be able to command an army of thousands of evil spirits, making life a terrible existence for humanity. Then he realized that he hated people so much because the years of enslavement had left an indelible mark on his heart. Suddenly, he realized that he shouldn't be. Gripping Qin Xuan by the neck, Qin Yu stated that a rabid dog only has one fate, and with that, he ended Qin Xuan's life. Following the allowed to associate with this trash, to which Wanner offered to go to the largest union, Yanu. A little later, Yanu Chinju and the girls entered the territory of the union, where they were immediately greeted by a merchant. Wanner explained that they wanted to purchase a dress for Jiraiya. After listening to, at Wanner's request, the merchant instructed Qin Yu to follow him. The girls were left alone and decided to take a stroll while waiting for Qin Yu. That's where I'm going to end here. So, everyone, if you enjoyed this video and want a part 2, let's aim for 1,000 likes on this video. Also, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. See you in the next video. To be Cao's wife. Others remarked that Prince Cao and Li were admirable for personally visiting Qinju. Assassination. Qin Yu quickly changed his clothes and made his way towards the capital's exit of the Divine Sword Aunt Dynasty. The guards stationed at the entrance of the capital. They are discussing rumors that their princess is marrying a man from the Immortal Clan. Then, one of the guards added that the people of the clan of the Immortals are simply terrible, and no one dares to anger them. Upon hearing this, a higher-ranking guard ordered them to keep their mouths shut, while they talked about the princess's husband, after which he advised them to focus on their duties. The maids approached the princess's chambers of the princess and bowed before her, asking her not to disturb her. Li Linga, dressed in her bridal gown, allowed them to enter. Entering the room, the maids informed her that the ceremony would begin soon, and it was time for her to head to the palace. Hearing that the time had come, Linga proceeded. Immediately upon arriving at the palace, trumpeters heralded the prince and princess's arrival with a fanfare. The prince and princess ascended the steps of the imperial hall. A messenger informed the emperor of their arrival, after which they approached and bowed before the emperor of the Divine Sword Dynasty, Li Qingge. The emperor proclaimed that he would entrust his daughter, Cao Dian, to Alinga, and that he would respect his wishes. Cao Dian bowed before the emperor, then took Li Qingge's hands and began to swear an oath, when suddenly a spear pierced through the door, killing several guards. Shocked by Qing family courtyard, the crippled Qin Yu was lying on his bed. Cao Dan and Mle, who were close by, said with malicious smiles that ever since he was a child, he had been what had just transpired. The emperor became enraged by the interruption of the ceremony and demanded an explanation from the intruder. Then, Linga and Cao Dian were horrified to see Qin Yu gazing at the emperor. Qin Yu reveled in the Yasa power he had obtained, as his abilities had become several times stronger than before. Now that he was at the first level of the realm of spirituality, his abilities had become several times better than before. He thought about the fact that in a past life, he hadn't been able to summon a beast, Savage, while anticipating how terrible it could be if he summoned her immediately. Showdown was horrified to see that Qin Yu's cultivation had come in, recovered, after which the shocked Lingen could not understand how it had happened, because his veins were torn, due to which he became a non-entity. Qin Yu went upstairs while a frightened Cao Dian doubted what was happening, seeing how scared he was. The emperor thought that even though Cao Dian was a descendant of the immortal clan, he was completely hopeless, while Qin Ju's cultivation skills had only improved. The emperor laughed, and then, rubbing his mustache, said that he wasn't expecting Qin Yu today and wanted him to stay home and rest. Yu immediately held a spear to the emperor's head, pressing the tip against his forehead, and ordered him to drop the hypocrisy, because if Qin Yu hadn't saved him in the past, he would have become a ghost a long time ago. He said that his Qing family was willing to do. The pride of Tonggu. At the age of 3, he understood the essence of the great perfection. At 9, he began to master this great technique. At 13, he achieved the great perfection. And at anything for the emperor, and their debt to him was enormous. After saying that, he asked the emperor what he had done to his family after all. What about Cao Dan and Li Qingge? Entered into a criminal conspiracy. Upon learning of the Qing clan's fate, the guests immediately began commenting on what they had heard. Cao Dian. He stepped forward in front of the emperor, ordering Qin Yu to be quiet, and immediately emitted purple energy, opening his eye on his forehead, after which he said that he underestimated Qin Ju, not expecting that his injuries were a pretense, and even considering Qin Ju's cultivation level, he was certain that he wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Qin Ju offered to test Cao Dian's strength, then swung his spear to the side, releasing golden energy. The guards rushed immediately to protect the emperor. The emperor was sure that Cao Dian would win, because, even though they were at the same spiritual realms, the blood of the immortals descended upon Cao Dian, reaching out their hands. The emperor instructed Cao Dian not to treat Qin Yu too harshly, as he was a member of the Qin family, which he had done so much for the imperial family. Instead, he should punish Qin Yu lightly by destroying his cultivation. Cao Dian initiated the battle by summoning the first stage, divine weapon, the green flame linga. He clarified that it was the Sion family's divine weapon. Upon hearing this, the surrounding crowd cheered for Cao Dian, and at the Bradakau, same time, felt sympathy for Qin Yu. Running his hand along the sword's hilt, he explained to Qin Yu the type of sword he wielded, to which Qin Yu, at 18, he almost entered the realm of spirituality. Saying this, Cao Dan immediately grabbed Qin Yu by the neck, and then sneered, saying he was as helpless, responded that he was holding the Qin family's war god spear, a 6th stage earthly weapon that had been drenched in the blood of thousands of human souls, and had taken the heads of thousands of people. Upon hearing this, Cao Dian shouted furiously that it was just an earthly weapon, after which he raised the sword above his head, timing the right moment to attack. Qin Yu, with an animal mark emblazoned on his forehead, summoned the phantom of Yasi. Summoning the ghost of Yasi into the spear of the god of war, Qin Yu immediately ordered it to destroy the target. As it approached Cao Dian, the spear curved around and attacked him from behind. Surprised that he had been underestimated, he blocked the spear with his sword. Seeing his sword crack, Cao Dian couldn't understand what was happening, because suddenly his divine sword was broken by the ordinary attack of an earthly warrior, and then he was slammed against he fell, causing him to spit out blood. The surrounding people, including the emperor and Ligiana, were shocked by what they witnessed, refusing to believe what was happening. Ligiana ordered Showdown to get up and attack Qinju. Qinju questioned Showdown, asking if the descendant of the immortal clan was truly so weak. Showdown, he grabbed the spear with his hands, attempting to pull it out, after which Qinyu pressed down even harder, asking if he, the son-in-law of whom the entire family, Imperial is so proud, saw before him only a simple, fragile man. Showdown responded that he was unaware that the Qin family's weapon was not of the earthly rank, like a dog because all his muscles and veins were torn, and at the same time, his divine consciousness dissipated. Now he is nothing more than a cripple, but of the divine rank, because it was able to break his sword. After wiping the blood from his spear, Qinju explained to Showdown that the spear of the god of war cannot to be compared to a fragile divine sword, as the Qing family had cleansed their relic with blood for centuries. After these words, Qinju responded mentally that Yasi's divine power resides in the ability to combine it with weapons, of which there are two types, earthly and divine. At this moment, his spear possesses the power of at least the second level of an earthly weapon. Emperor Albert was surprised that the Qing family possessed a divine weapon. He doubted it because he had been following all of his movements, so he surmised that Qinju had received this spear in the desert lands and decided to keep him under surveillance, to find out what else he was hiding. After considering the situation, the emperor told Showdown that he had been wrong to entrust his daughter to him, because he couldn't even defeat Qinyu. Showdown tried to explain himself to the emperor, but realized it would be futile. He gritted his teeth in frustration, after which he screamed. His eyes glowed red, and the eye on his forehead opened completely. After unleashing his full power, Showdown told Qinyu that he had underestimated him, then proclaimed himself a descendant of the immortal clan and lunged at Qinyu, calling him an ordinary person. As soon as Showdown got close, he received a punch to the face and went flying. Qinyu complained about how noisy Showdown was, and then he stomped on him with all his strength and